She's been linked to real estate purchases on 3 different continents. And yet, by her own quiet actions, only one of those homes has ever felt like a true sanctuary to her. We're talking about Lisa, rapper, dancer, and one of the most recognizable members of Blackpink. Over the past few years, as her solo career has expanded well beyond the group, so has her property portfolio. Public records, real estate outlets, and even her own social media have given fans glimpses into a handful of homes. Some of them are confirmed in striking detail. Others remain wrapped in speculation that's spread far faster than any actual evidence. So how many properties has Lisa really been connected to? Which ones are documented fact, and which ones are simply fan theories that have taken on a life of their own? And maybe more interesting than the price tags, what does each property actually reveal about the person living in them? By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, fact-checked picture of what's actually known about Lisa's real estate. No exaggeration, no invented details, just what's been reported and confirmed. Let's start from the beginning, with the home she's shown the most. Section 1. A quick note on how she got here. Before we get into addresses and price tags, it's worth pausing on context. Lisa, born Prenpriya Manobal, known publicly as LALISA Manobal, moved from Thailand to South Korea as a teenager to train with YG Entertainment, eventually debuting with Blackpink in 2016. The group would go on to become one of the best-selling girl groups in history, and Lisa herself would become the first K-pop solo artist to surpass 1 billion streams on Spotify with her single, Money. That single title feels almost a little on the nose now, considering what came next. As her solo career picked up speed, solo albums, brand ambassadorships with the likes of Celine and Bulgari, and eventually her own independent label, Loud, her financial footprint started showing up in places far beyond the music charts. Specifically, in property records across 2, and possibly 3 different countries. What's notable, and what we'll come back to throughout this video, is that several of her property purchases were reportedly made in cash, without financing. That's a detail real estate reporters tend to flag specifically because it says something about financial position that a price tag alone doesn't always capture. With that context in mind, let's start with the home most thoroughly documented, her residence in Seoul. Section 2. The Seoul Home. The most well-documented property linked to Lisa sits in Seongbuk-dong, one of Seoul's quietest and most exclusive residential districts, often compared by local media to the kind of old-money hillside neighborhoods you'd find in Los Angeles or London. It's the type of area where privacy isn't a luxury add-on. It's practically the architecture itself. According to South Korean property reports, Lisa signed the contract for this home in July 2022, with the final payment completed in January 2023, and reportedly paid in full, in cash. The price, as widely reported by outlets including Biz Hankook and later picked up internationally, approximately 7.5 billion Korean won, or roughly $5.5 million USD at the time. The house itself comes with a backstory that adds an extra layer of intrigue. Before Lisa, the property belonged to Jang Seon-yoon, the granddaughter of Shin Kyu-ko, the founder of the massive Lada Corporation conglomerate. In other words, Lisa didn't just buy a luxury home, she bought a home that had spent nearly 7 years as part of one of Korea's most prominent business dynasties. Built in 2016 and reportedly spanning close to 7,200 square feet across 3 levels, including a basement, the villa is sizable even by celebrity standards. But what's interesting is how Lisa chose to actually live in it. Rather than disappearing entirely behind a gate, she gave fans a look inside on her birthday through her own label's YouTube channel, LALISA. Lisa walked viewers through parts of the home. What stood out to a lot of viewers wasn't excess, it was restraint. Sleek, modern furniture. A clean, largely monochrome color palette of whites, grays, and warm neutrals. Carefully chosen pieces of artwork providing small, deliberate pops of color rather than an overwhelming showcase of wealth. It read less like a flex and more like someone who had genuinely put thought into creating a calm space for herself. Which, if you think about the chaos of touring schedules, comeback promotions, and constant public visibility, makes a lot of sense. There's also a small detail that tends to surprise international fans specifically. Who else lives nearby? Seongbuk-dong is reportedly home to a number of major Korean celebrities, including actor Lee Min-ho. According to several reports, Lisa's own street places her in proximity to other entertainment industry figures. meaning that even her choice of neighborhood quietly signals a desire to live among people who understand the specific kind of fame she has and who are unlikely to be impressed or intrusive about it. By most accounts, this Seoul property functions as her primary, day-to-day base in South Korea, the home closest to the heart of the industry she came up in. But as her career started reaching further beyond Asia, so did her real estate decisions. Section 3. The Beverly Hills property. In early 2024, reports began circulating that Lisa had purchased a home in Beverly Hills, California. And the story behind this property is, in some ways, just as interesting as the house itself. According to real estate outlets including Robb Report and Mansion Global, the home is a Spanish Mediterranean-style property originally built in the 1920s. It had recently undergone a full renovation by a Los Angeles-based design firm called House of Rollison, a name that's become something of a quiet trend among young pop stars. Just months earlier, the same design team had renovated a Hollywood Hills home purchased by singer Sabrina Carpenter. The property reportedly sold for just under $4 million. Sources cite figures ranging narrowly between $3.9 and $4 million, sitting on more than an acre of land near Coldwater Canyon, a hillside stretch running alongside the Santa Monica Mountains. The details reported about the home itself paint a fairly vivid picture. 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a clay tile roof, stone flooring, custom-stained cedar ceilings, and light fixtures reportedly imported from Italy. Outside, the listing description mentioned a dining terrace complete with a pizza oven and a spacious lawn with room for a future pool. On paper, it reads like a classic old Hollywood retreat that's been given a thoroughly modern facelift. It's worth pausing here to be precise about sourcing. While multiple real estate publications reported this purchase with named listing agents, Brock and Lori Harris of Brock and Lori Real Estate, along with Farrah Brittany of the agency representing the sellers, and Amy Black of Redfin representing the buyer, Lisa herself has not personally confirmed the purchase in public statements. This is fairly typical with celebrity real estate reporting. The information tends to come from property records and industry sources rather than from the celebrities themselves, and outlets are usually careful to frame it as reportedly for exactly that reason. We'll keep that same framing here. What makes the timing genuinely interesting is what else was happening in Lisa's career around the same period. She had recently signed with RCA Records, a deal reportedly allowing her to retain ownership of her own music going forward, and was preparing for her acting debut in the 3rd season of HBO's The White Lotus. Around this same window, she had also become a global brand ambassador for Bulgari. In other words, this wasn't simply a house purchase happening in isolation. It lined up almost exactly with Lisa building an entirely new chapter of her career on American soil. One that wasn't just about K-pop anymore, but about music ownership, acting, and a broader entertainment presence in the US market. A home base near Los Angeles, at that specific moment, makes a lot of practical sense. So now we've got 2 very different homes, on 2 very different continents. A quiet, family history-rich villa in Seoul, a renovated century-old retreat in the Beverly Hills. But there's a 3rd location that, in many ways, might matter to Lisa more than either of these. And it's also the one where the facts get noticeably murkier. Section 4. Thailand Roots. Not just real estate. Before Seoul, before Beverly Hills, there was Thailand, specifically Buriram Province, where Lisa spent much of her early childhood with her grandparents before her family later moved to Bangkok. This is the part of the story where we need to slow down and separate confirmed fact from circulating claims, because the gap between the 2 is wider here than with either of her other properties. What is well documented? Lisa's family, including her mother and stepfather, has continued living in Thailand even as her own career has pulled her between Seoul and Los Angeles. Her stepfather has been reported to run a restaurant in Bangkok, and fans have shared and reshared a particularly heartfelt moment of Lisa surprising her father for his 70th birthday at the family home, a clip that circulated widely and showed a side of her life entirely separate from stages and red carpets. What is not well documented, despite how often it gets repeated online, the claim that Lisa personally owns a separate, ultra-private luxury mansion in an exclusive part of Bangkok, sometimes described in online posts and lifestyle blogs as a lakeside lakeside property valued anywhere up to $15 million. These claims typically describe a secured, high-end villa with a private pool and garden. But when you actually trace the sourcing, there's no verified address, no confirmed sale price, no public listing, and no officially released photos tied to this specific property. To be clear about why that distinction matters, with the Seoul home, we have real estate registry documents, a named previous owner, and a video tour from Lisa's own label. With the Beverly Hills home, we have named listing agents, a documented sale price range, and multiple independent outlets reporting consistent architectural details. With this alleged Bangkok mansion, what exists instead is a pattern of blog posts and social media claims that largely reference each other rather than any primary source. That doesn't necessarily mean it's false, but it does mean it remains. At this point, unconfirmed speculation rather than documented fact, and it should be treated that way. What we can say with confidence is this: regardless of whether a separate luxury property exists, Thailand clearly occupies a different emotional category for Lisa than her other two homes. Seoul and Beverly Hills appear to be homes she bought for herself, strategic, career-driven bases in the two cities where most of her professional life happens. Thailand, by contrast, seems to represent something less transactional. It's not about square footage or resale value. It's where her actual family lives, where her own roots are, and where, by virtually every public account, she returns simply because that's where home is, in the most basic sense of the word. Section 5. What her properties say about her. Step back from the individual addresses for a second, and a pretty consistent pattern starts to emerge across everything that is actually confirmed. First, privacy is clearly a priority. Both of her documented home purchases, Seoul and Beverly Hills, are in neighborhoods specifically known for discretion, populated by other public figures who understand the value of not drawing extra attention to a famous neighbor. Second, when she does pay for property, she reportedly tends to pay in cash without the financing arrangements many buyers rely on, a detail that real estate reporters consistently note as significant. Third, and maybe the most human detail in all of this, she's shown a genuine interest in personally shaping these spaces, rather than just acquiring them. The Seoul home tour wasn't outsourced to a production company. It came through her own label's channel, on her own birthday, narrated in her own voice. The Beverly Hills property reportedly appealed to her specifically because of its character-driven renovation, not because it was the biggest or flashiest option available. And finally, there's the geography itself. Each property, confirmed or not, appears to map almost perfectly onto a different chapter of her career and her life. Seoul represents where her professional identity was built, from her trainee years through Blackpink's global rise. Beverly Hills represents where she's actively building something new: solo music ownership, acting, an expanding presence in the American entertainment industry. And Thailand, regardless of any unconfirmed property claims, represents where she came from and where her family still is. So, putting it all together, a thoroughly documented, multi-million-dollar home in Seoul that doubles as her primary base, complete with a history tied to one of Korea's most prominent business families. A reportedly renovated century-old retreat in Beverly Hills, tied closely to her expanding American career and acquired around the same time as major career milestones. And in Thailand, a more layered picture: deep, well-documented family roots, alongside a widely circulated but unverified claim about an additional luxury property that simply doesn't hold up to the same level of scrutiny as her other two homes. What stands out, more than any single price tag, is the pattern underneath it all. These aren't random purchases. They're homes that seem to track almost exactly with the different stages of a career that spanned 3 continents, and a personal life that, even with all that global success, still seems to circle back to where she actually started. If you found this breakdown useful, let us know in the comments which of Lisa's homes you'd want to see more of. And subscribe if you want more carefully researched deep dives into the real lives of your favorite K-pop stars.